Back in mid-June, Thai Prime Minister Prayuth
Chan-ocha, Thai Prime Minister Prayuth
surprised everyone by promising to reopen the
Chan-ocha
country
surprised
to foreign
everyone by
tourists
promising to
October. The time had come, he said, to take that calculated risk.At the time.
reopen the country to foreign tourists by
Thailand had zealously
October.
guarded foreign tourism, once an engine of the Thai economy, collapsed. Just over 70,000 came into the country in the first 8 months
Tourism.
of this year,
Once
compared to
an engine
40
of the
million
Thai
in the whole of 2019. COVID-19
economy
was successfully contained through most of 2020.
collapsed.
But by June this year, infections were rising quickly, and the government was being roundly criticized for being too slow to start vaccinating. Opening up in October seemed impossible. But true to his word, the great reopening appears to have begun, albeit with only very modest steps. The nighttime curfew has been shortened by an hour, starting at 10 p.m., and libraries and museums can open. You can visit a spa, but only with advance booking and a recent negative COVID test. Fully vaccinated tourists will now be quarantined for just 1 week instead of 2. Further minor relaxations are expected in November. This is welcome news for the battered hospitality industry, but hardly sufficient to get the visitors pouring back in.
But true to his word, the great reopening appears to have begun. Thai government proceeding so cautiously. The simple answer is vaccines and the limited number of ICU beds. Despite significantly ramping up its orders of vaccines, the government started leaving so cautiously, and is still a long. By the end of September, just over 1/4 had received 2 doses, and many of those who received
end of September, just over 1/4 had received 2 doses.
Sinovac vaccine are now having
and many of those received less effective.
And at the peak of the
vaccine are now having to get boosted
COVID wave in July and August.
Stockton at the peak of
All
the latest COVID wave in July.
Intensive care unit there. But with the known infectiousness of the Delta variant, many health experts believe even 70% of the population is too low.
But with the
target
known infectiousness of the Delta variant
for vaccination before Thailand can fully open to tourists.
Many health experts believe even 70% of the population is
vaccine
too
rate
low a target
among the older and
vaccination
most vulnerable
before Thailand can fully open to tourism.
Population should be as high as 85 or 90%.
The vaccine rate among the older and most.
Some in the travel industry agree that it is too soon for a full
travel industry
reopening. But
agree
there are other barriers
too soon for a full reopening
to tourism.
But there are other barriers
apart from the relatively low vaccination rate.
Vaccination rate. Thailand's famous nightlife
cannot
restart with the varied requirements for new COVID tests when you cross provincial borders are also proving prohibitively expensive for trivially 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 expensive for trivially. For us to stay closed for this long without any compensation has been a disaster. Bangkok is a 24-hour city. Look at everything the bar industry has done for the city, getting top rankings in Asia. I wish they would have more understanding of the hospitality and nightlife business. Right now the government acts as though we never existed, he says. Acute economic distress is now very visible in Thailand, in the rows of shuttered shops, in the long queues for food handouts, and in the crowds of angry, unemployed young men who have joined the anti-government protest movement and come out every weekend in parts of Bangkok to fight the police. This is what has forced an unpopular government's hand. But this month's heralded reopening is only the start. They still have a long way to go.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe